So, hi, hello everybody, I'm Katie and this is my wrap-up of Nonfiction November. Yes, I know, I am early. It is only the 20th of November and there are still 10 more days of the Nonfiction November challenge. But, you guys, I'm already done. I read every book I wanted to read and so I thought, let's just make a video before, my memory is fading. So yeah, let me tell you what I read this Nonfiction November. Now, Nonfiction November is hosted by Olive and Gemma. Damn, I always say her name wrong, sorry. And I will put both of their channels in the description below and also the Goodreads group for Nonfiction November if you want to, join Nonfiction November. And because you still have 10 more days, you guys, there's still 10 days left, so yeah, so there are 4 challenges for books this November. They are controversial, fascinating, new and important. Now, I've only read books for 2 of the challenges, which is new, which are these 3 books. They are not technically new releases, but they are new to me, so I thought they still fit into the category. And then we have Fascinating, which I read this book for, or at least like the last 100 pages of this book. But I'll tell you more in a second. Now, the first 2 books that I've read are called Weird Things Customers Say in Bookshops and and More Weird Things Customers Say in Bookshops, all by the lovely Jen Campbell, whose channel I also will link in the description below if you want to check her out. She always makes me want to buy more books because she talks about a lot of very fascinating, very interesting sounding books, and yeah. And these are kind of coffee table books that you can, put on a coffee table and put in a little bit. And these are so funny. They made me giggle so much. And it's so nice. Like it's great to read them because you guys, some people just have very interesting realities and ask very interesting questions. I can't really remember a favorite. Maybe one of my favorites in Weird Things Customers Say in Bookshop is someone who was looking for the books on the dark arts, and a bookseller suggested that he might want to look in Nocturne Alley. That made me laugh a lot. Or another one was a boy who suggested that they would have a book guarding dragon and who has a degree in book guarding so that he won't burn all the books with his fiery breath. So these are very, very lovely books and love them both. Now, the next book that I've read was also written by Jen Campbell, which is the Bookshop Book. And you guys, this book, I loved it. It is about bookshops from all around the world. I think mostly about independent bookshops. There are a few bookshop chains mentioned, but it's mostly about independent bookshops, and it is so wonderful. It made me laugh, it made me cry, and I'm so happy right now. Now, the thing about it was so nice to read about all the people who love and value books just as much as I do. And you guys, the things that made me cry were mostly when I read about, a guy in, I think, Kenya, whose bookshop was burned down by terrorists? No, rebels, kind of like there was a turmoil in Kenya and his bookshop got burned down and he had to flee, and he set up a new bookshop another city in Kenya, and it's just, or someone in, I think it's Colombia or Bolivia, somewhere in South America, who travels with a donkey, like a donkey, and he has 2 donkeys, and he carries books on these 2 donkeys to children who don't have access to libraries, and things like that just made me that warms my heart and makes me want to cry. Because the thing is, even though, you know, there are books everywhere. I live in Germany, and we all have access to books. There are bookshops everywhere, there are libraries everywhere. But I've got the feeling that, you know, most of the time I feel very alone as a book lover, because I'm the one who reads the most in my family by far. And sometimes I feel as the people around me regard me as a little bit of weird because I love books so much. So it was very, very nice to read about so many people in so many different places of the world who love books and whose life evolves around books. And so yeah, I really loved it. Now the last book I've read for Nonfiction November is a book that I actually started last December, but I didn't finish it until now. So I'm still going to talk about it. Ha, this is my video, you can't tell me what I can do and what I cannot do. So anyways, this book is called Reflections on the Magic of Writing, which contains essays and lectures and stuff like that by Diana Wynne-Jones, who is one of my favorite authors of all time. She has written, I think, over 40 novels, and I think most of them are children's books. I think most of them are fantasy, and I wish I could have met her. She died 2011, I think, yes. And you guys, if you like writing, if you like children's books and fantasy, then check it out. Now, it gets a little bit repetitive because she, of course, her lectures were often about the same kind of, she often hit the same topics in her lectures, so there are things that repeat itself, but I still think it's very, very interesting. For example, she talks a lot about her life and how her childhood had influenced her to become a writer, and also about how, you know, in the 60s and 70s, when she first wrote children's books, how publishers told her that, you know, fantasy children's books cannot be published. And she also talks about how you know, people look down on her because she was a writer for children's books, and they don't value children's books as much as, you know, books for adults. Yeah, another thing she talks about is how fantasy, especially in the 80s, was a lot of very reminiscent of Tolkien and the Tolkien world, and very Tolkien-esque, and there wasn't anything else really published, and she mocks it kind of a little bit, and it was a lot of fun to read. And if you love Diana Wynne-Jones and children's books in general, or writing in general, pick it up. It is really, really amazing. That was it basically for today. This was my wrap-up. I definitely enjoyed Nonfiction November a lot, and I plan on doing it next year, and this time properly. So I hope you have a lovely, lovely November, and you have a lovely Nonfiction November, maybe, if you take part in it, and I hope you have a lovely Sunday also, and I will see you soon. Bye!